All right, good evening, good evening. Okay, so we have a fan question tonight having to do with negativity, and I thought that this was a great thing to talk about tonight. But before I do that, I just want to let you guys know that Thursday night, January 26th, we are going to be doing a free Zoom on questions to ask before you buy any training program. We're also going to be answering your questions about Bookkeeper Training School. So if you're interested in Bookkeeper Training School, this is a great webinar to go to. Or if you're interested in freelancing in general, this is a great webinar to go to because I'm a former college professor. We've had over 1,500 people sign up for Bookkeeper Training School. I have a master's degree. I've been involved in education for a long time. I was on the board of education in my town. And I've done a lot of training courses myself. And so this is going to be really good information. We're going to go through all these questions that you should ask. And so if you want the invite to the Zoom, right, we're going to send you the Zoom link an hour before the call. Go to text info to 321-214-8973. It's also in the description of this video, or you can click on the link in this video to get to my text list, and we'll text you the link an hour before the call. Okay. So we're also going to send it out to our email list as well. So if you're on the email list, you can get it. But a lot of people like the text messages because sometimes we forget, what time it is. I know I've done that before with calls. And so get on the text list 321-214-8973 and text info to that number. It's all in the description of this video. Okay. All right. So question today. A bad habit that I struggle with is being negative. People comment on just about everything I say being negative. Some of it I see as realistic. I don't mean it as negative, and it really makes me angry. Help. Okay, so a couple things when I was reading this. So I used to be, I don't know if you know this or not, I used to be a really negative person. I like people actually call me the black hat because I am one of those people that is super realistic. And, I'm one of those people they got to go to like, okay, tell me the downside of what I'm planning to do. And so a couple things that have really helped me with that in recent years. So first off, our brains naturally go negative. I don't know if you've ever had this happen before. If you've ever had a negative spiral where this typically happens, let me give you an example. Your spouse or your kids do something that you don't like, that starts to make you mad. And then you think about other things that make you mad and other things about them that make you mad. And by the time you're like, ah! And you're like really, really angry, right? And so I call that a negativity spiral. And our brains do that. They're like, oh, negative? You want to go negative? Let me remind you of something else that's negative. Let me remind you of something else that's negative. And our brains just naturally will go in that direction and we spiral down. And so one thing is just if you know that you're going in that direction, right, realizing that that's what's happening and saying, whoa, stop. This is not where I want to go right now. Okay, so that's one thing to just stop it right there. So one thing that's really helped me is I do a gratitude practice every single day where I write down 3 things I'm grateful for and 3 things I like about myself. And let me tell you something, doing that, because I know a lot of people are like, oh, do the gratitude thing, 3 things that you're grateful for. But when you add 3 things that you like about yourself to that, that is a game changer because you're not only thinking externally about the things you're grateful for, but like how many of you that are watching like would have a hard time writing down 3 things that you like about yourself at any given time? I know this is something that women really struggle with. And there are some days that I have just had to write down like, I'm persistent because I do this every day. And like I've really struggled. I'm like, let's see, my thumb. I like my thumb today. Like, I mean, there are days I've really struggled with this. And so I think if you mix those 2 together, right? Because then it's an external and an internal as well. That really, really helps. And now that I've been doing this for a while, I see my strength every day. I see, you know, I see my persistence. I'm digging my feet and I'm digging my legs because they're getting really strong from the work that I'm doing. And so you kind of, it will start to build up and it will start to get better. So I think that really, really helps. One thing I noticed in the question is you said, I don't mean it as negative, and it really makes me angry. I think that there's some things to unpack there about why it makes you angry. And so what I would recommend that you do is that you try some journaling. Okay, just write down like, okay, why am I feeling this way? What triggered me feeling this way? One of my teachers that I work with, Corinne Crabtree, she talks about the think, feel, do cycle. And the think, feel, do cycle is when a thought pops into your mind and you have a feeling that comes with it. And then that feeling triggers you to do something, right? And so going through and saying, okay, so I had this thought, right? Or somebody said, oh, you're being so negative. And I thought, well, no, I'm just being realistic. And I got angry, right? And so I would be looking at that saying, okay, why is that happening? Like, why am I thinking that way when somebody points out, right? And so I find that journaling really, really helps with things like that, okay? Because you start to unpack when these things are happening, what the triggers are for you to get angry in that circumstance. Are there certain people that are telling you that's making you angry? And so I think that is really, really key to helping unpack that behavior and then start changing your thoughts around it. Okay, so hopefully that is helpful for you. So again, my recommendations for that is, really looking at those negative spirals that you have. And as soon as you recognize them, stop, right? Stop what you're doing and say, no, I'm not going down this path. Number 2 is to every single day write down 3 things that you're grateful for and 3 things that you like about yourself. And then the third thing is to really do some journaling and unpacking on why, when somebody points out that you're being negative, why it makes you so angry, and do some journaling around that and your thoughts and your feelings related to that. Okay, so, and remember, if you're interested in bookkeeper training school, or you want to know more about the questions that I ask when I buy training courses, make sure that you send a text to 321-214-8973 with the word info. It's in the description of this video. We'd love to have you join us for that Zoom tomorrow. That's at 8 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. And don't worry, if you can't make it live, we will send out a replay for anybody that's on the list. All right, so take care. I hope you have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.